Did you know you can control your own Jett smokes? Just simply hold your smoke key while controlling it with your mouse. But even when people control their smoke to smoke off a choke point, they're still typically using it wrong. Instead of just smoking off a choke point like CT, instead you could opt to throw your smoke above the angle to give yourself a free one-way smoke to get some easy frags. Jett will also dash further if you jump before dashing, so make sure to always do a quick jump before dashing to get the absolute most value out of your dash. And this also works with updrafts. If you jump before updrafting, you can get on top of a higher location than you normally could with a regular updraft. And if you get caught with your melee out, you can throw a smoke while pulling out your weapon, which is actually faster than just pulling it out normally. And if you are looking for a duo to climb the ranks with, you need to check out Z League, which you can find yourself a duo on using the LFG feature to find yourself some good teammates. Just swipe through the different profiles and find a teammate to play with you. But my personal favorite feature is the Play Now feature, where you can play against people your skill level and actually win real money. Once you win these Z coins, head over to the shop where you can buy things like this Xbox gift card or the Oculus Quest 2, and this shop changes every 24 hours. Or you can use them towards your next Play Now session. If you want to try it out, everyone who joins Z League will get 500 Z coins, and for a chance to win a free Valorant Battle Pass, make sure to like this video and comment your Z League username in the comment section below. Now let's get right back to the video. Now we all know that super dashes are a thing, or we should know this, but honestly my favorite one is on Icebox, which is currently out of the competitive pool. So I won't go too into depth about this one, but if you want to do it, just line up with these bolts and aim at the corner of this TV and dash and then updraft as you make contact with the wall. There's a few of these on maps like Lotus and other maps, but I believe this is technically an exploit, so I'd be careful. This mechanic works on a bunch of different places, so all you really have to do it on anywhere is just dash and then updraft as soon as you make contact with the wall. Playing with the pocket sage can also be very useful on Jett. They don't just heal you. You can use their sage wall to wall boost you on top of locations that you updraft on, like Shed on Ascent, and that can get you a really insane off angle to see anyone peeking cat to get some easy frags. You can also use the sage wall boost with your Jett knives to updraft and get frags on angles that an enemy wouldn't expect you to be able to see them from. And you can apparently combo these crazy off angles with Deadlock, but better, which I have to give credit to Ziptie and Red for figuring this out. But here's just one good example of this. But essentially, you can place a Deadlock wall outside of the map and updraft and float on top of it, and then use your Jett knives from on top of it to catch enemies off guard. This may also technically be an exploit, but it's definitely a fun and cool tip. Most of you guys already know that Jett can glide just by holding spacebar, but you can actually use this to get yourself onto certain positions that you normally wouldn't be able to without using an ability. For example, you could glide from this box to truck, and then get on top of truck and glide to shed without having to use a updraft. Or you could use the same mechanic to get from bench to triple to heaven. There's other maps and ways to use this, like getting on top of the A short boxes from heaven on Haven, but overall, it's pretty good to have an understanding of this concept so you're able to save your credits and save an updraft that you may need later in the round. If you want to start opping on Jett, the most important thing is realizing how much value you can get by playing aggressive angles with your Jett Dash, which is essentially a get out of jail free card, and being as unpredictable as possible. If you notice in this clip here, I get a frag long and dash towards short, which I then peek short and get another frag. I end up repositioning once again towards hell to get another frag on the neon, and then I reposition again to the right side of sight for another frag before pulling out my shorty to get the ace. The one thing that you'll notice throughout this entire clip is that after every single frag that I get, I reposition and peek a different angle. This makes me unpredictable and able to have a better chance at getting a multi-frag, compared to if I just re-peek the exact same angle that I already know they are holding. I also suggest buying a shorty with your Jett Op. In case an enemy tries to push you after you miss a shot, you can simply drop a Jett smoke and play inside of it with your shorty, and then you'll have the advantage. Now let's talk about entering on Jett. I know this is a very common problem many players struggle with on Jett. So let's first talk about the absolute basics. When dashing in, you should be dashing into your own Jett smoke so that you have some form of cover and can distract the site players while your team helps overwhelm them. But when dashing in, you should also be doing a Sova drone cosplay. For example, on Ascent, many Jett players will dash to switch to close the door. While you're dashing in, you can clear close lane and logs, or if you're a slower sense player, you can opt to just clear the close left angle and swing out of your smoke to clear logs normally. You can also have a Skye flash you through your smoke, so you can get a really good pop flash to help you take site control. There is a bunch of different pathings you can do while entering, and some cool updraft spots with Jett knives to get some insane value, so let's talk about those for every map next. For B site, I like to smoke switch and dash into it so I can close door and also clear the close angles with my teammates. For A site, I prefer to smoke on top of Jen and dash updraft onto Jen, as it causes a bigger distraction to anyone playing on the site. If you have Jett knives on defense, you can double updraft from Jen to see enemies inside of A main, or if you're in a retake, you can double updraft from tree to see them on site trying to plant the spike. You can also double updraft from inside of heaven to see anyone trying to walk out of A main, or on offense, you can double updraft from on top of A main to see anyone playing site, heaven, or hell. For A site, I like to dash updraft on top of tin because this makes it harder for a player in lamps to peek me without overextending. For B site, I like to dash updraft on top of double stack because as soon as my teammate takes contact, I can drop out of the smoke and get some easy frags. You can also double updraft from top site to see enemies rotating through CT, or you can updraft from inside of CT to see enemies pushing long. For B site, I like to do a simple dash towards default as players typically play tower or dice, and me and my team can trade these players much easier this way. But I personally prefer to go arcade and dash updraft into tower, and I ask my breach to flash or stun tower for me to make my life a little easier. For A site, I like to dash into front site and then drop another smoke so I can pinch site with my teammates coming out main. You can also updraft out of tower to see enemies pushing B main, or you can float from tower to the Radianite boxes and then float on top of canteen and updraft to see them B main as well. For A site, I like to dash front default and drop another smoke so that I can clear all of the close angles like back site and graffiti for my team. For B site, I like to dash updraft on top of site and help pinch the B player with my team from behind. For C site, I usually just dash to the left of default so I can easily peek and get an easy frag on any of the enemies that are playing on the close angles. You can also double updraft from lobby to see A long, or double updraft from behind window to see front B. Or on an A retake, you can double updraft from on top of these boxes to see all of A site. For Pearl, I like to dash updraft on top of screens as it creates a lot of pressures for any enemies that might try to rotate in and help their team. For A site, I usually just dash towards church so I can pop out and clear backside and pit for my team as they push with me. You can also double updraft from on top of these boxes to see any enemies that might be pushing B long. For B site, I like to dash in front of shed as this makes it so players have to peek out of rafters or backside to fight you. For A site, I like to dash flowers so I can clear the close angle, and then I usually push towards elbow to clear sight and pinch with my team. You can also double updraft from rafters to see the spawn rotators here, or you can double updraft from rafters to see anyone A main on defense. For C site, I like to dash updraft on top of site here so I can wrap anyone trying to play bend and pinch site with my team. For B site, I usually just dash towards default so I'm able to expose myself to less angles while I'm entering. For A site, I typically like to dash towards mid site and then drop another smoke towards pit so I can clear back site and pinch the site with my team.